This former Finance Minister Ken Oporiata misses OSP meeting due to health concerns. We have details for you, plus a much anticipated address a lot later by the special prosecutor. Also this afternoon, jurors lay down their tools to protest the non-payment of allowance, another subject matter on the horizon on the labor front again. A lot later, Ghana confirms 26 new cases of Mpox, bringing the total number of cases to 45. Hello there, it's the start of a brand new week. Welcome to News Central here on TV3. I am Mawina Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now. This afternoon, uncertainty has clouded the much-anticipated meeting between former Finance Minister Ken Oporiata and the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The former minister was billed to avail himself to investigators of the OSP after he was identified as a prime suspect in 5 corruption scandals, including the ambulance purchase saga. However, that meeting has been thrown into disarray after a letter from lawyers of the OSP disclosed his health condition had deteriorated, hence he could not make himself available physically. The OSP had earlier warned a failure by the once powerful minister would result in his re-entry on the list of wanted persons, with extradition efforts taken to force his return. But this afternoon, we want to bring you up to speed on this tango between the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the former Finance Minister. What are the 5 cases, one of which I've mentioned, the ambulance purchase saga, and how far have we come since that first declaration of Mr. Ken Oporiata as a wanted person and a fugitive from justice? Let's try and refresh your memory at home and then look forward to that much-anticipated news conference expected a lot later today by the Special Prosecutor. And so here's a list of the 5 cases to which Mr. Ken Oporiata, the former Finance Minister, has been labeled as a prime suspect in. The first, the Petroleum and Minerals Revenue Assurances agreement between the government of Ghana and also the Electricity Company of Ghana contract termination between BXG. Then there's the National Cathedral project that we know has become what many have described as a very expensive hole in somewhere in the capital of the country. Then there's the ambulance purchase saga, details of which Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, now Foreign Affairs Minister, serialized quite greatly, resulting in a number of concerns being raised. One of such concerns picked up by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Then there is a GRA tax petroleum fund management. Of that account, there's been concerns about disbursement, amongst many other things. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has taken it up as a subject matter of interest and is looking into it. But here's where it all started. The 2nd of January 2025, Mr. Oporiata wrote to the former Chief of Staff, because remember, as at the 2nd of January, former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was still president, awaiting the swearing-in of John Dramani Mahama as President of the Republic. And so Mr. Ken Oporiata wrote to then Chief of Staff, Madam Akosua Fremal Pare, to seek medical attention abroad. Now, on the 22nd of January, Ken Oporiata wrote to the current Chief of Staff, Julius Zebra, informing him of his absence from the jurisdiction. Now, 2 days later, the special prosecutor or his office wrote to the former finance minister asking him to attend an interview on the 10th of February at the OSP as a suspect in respect of 4 corruption and corruption-related offenses. At that time, it was 4, but subsequently it got upgraded to 5. Then on the 31st of January, Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers wrote to the office of the special prosecutor and making him aware of his absence and the availability to assist with whatever information the OSP would be seeking. But the office of the special prosecutor will insist that the former finance minister makes an appearance and is available for the interview, in failure of which he would take steps to secure his return to the country. And upon that, we got to know that lawyers of Mr. Ofori-Atta wrote suggesting a possible in-person interview after March. The office of the special prosecutor did not budge. We know that the house of the former finance minister was raided by national security operatives, which we got to know of subsequently. Then the lawyers of Mr. Ofori-Atta again wrote to the special prosecutor to inquire if the raid at his home was at his instance. But on the 12th, the special prosecutor will address that news conference declaring Mr. Ofori-Atta wanted and a fugitive from justice. The lawyers of Mr. Ofori-Atta would write again to the office of the special prosecutor to clarify the rescheduled interview and demand that his name be taken off the wanted list. The OSP in a press statement announced he had been removed from the wanted list. And then we know that the lawyers wrote to the OSP to draw the attention to the fact that the post declaring him wanted was still on. And subsequently, we know that upon this, there was that June 2 date, which is today, where that face-to-face interrogation by investigators of the Office of the Special Prosecutor was expected to take place. We know as well that Mr. Ofori-Atta has taken or sought redress at the Human Rights Division of the Accra High Court, seeking to bar the Office of the Special Prosecutor from declaring him as a wanted person going forward, and as well taking steps to remove that initial wanted notice from any of its registered documentation. Let's go on to the phone lines right now and speak to Inusa Abdullahi Bista Fusheni. He's a private legal practitioner. I'll pick his thoughts on the latest we're getting to know of this standoff or this tango between the former finance minister and the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Counsellor, I appreciate you speaking to us this afternoon. What do you make of this latest development, the unavailability of the former finance minister, and really what recourse is now available to the Office of the Special Prosecutor in this interview, which they describe as crucial in proceeding with their case?
Well, thank you for having me. I think that it is now becoming abundantly clear that Ken Ofori-Atta does not intend to make himself available to the Special Prosecutor to assist in the investigations of the matters that have come before the Special Prosecutor. And so the option appears to be what the Special Prosecutor earlier took, the steps that he earlier took, that is declaring him a fugitive from justice, a wanted person.
Well, you say he's not interested in making a return. His lawyers have a contrary view. In fact, they've served the Office of the Special Prosecutor with documentation, from what we know, suggesting that his health situation has taken a turn for the worse. In fact, that suits they filed, where we are expecting a ruling on June 18, they've made copies of these documents also available to the Human Rights Division of the High Court. That's evidence of the fact that he cannot be available.
The fact is that the fact that the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta have presented or are alleged to have presented documents to the Special Prosecutor alleging that Ken Ofori-Atta's health conditions have deteriorated does not in any way overreach the powers of the special prosecutor to demand that he appears before him to enable him investigate matters that have come before him.
But really, what course of action can the OSP be taken? Because we know that there's that June 18 ruling expected by the Human Rights Division of the High Court. He can't possibly proceed to want to declare him wanted again, can he?
Nana Furiata is in court, in the Human Rights Court, to vindicate a right that he thinks he has, and he's doing that through his lawyers. Until the Human Rights Court pronounces or upholds the rights that he thinks he has, in not appearing before the Office of the Special Prosecutor, nothing prevents the Special Prosecutor from continuing with his job in terms of demanding that Ken Oforiatta appears before him. So the Special Prosecutor will proceed. I mean, you can use the court to frustrate the performance of a function given to the Special Prosecutor by a statute. And so the Special Prosecutor will prosecute. I would advise that he proceeds until the court rules otherwise.
Where do you stand, though, in the argument being made that the processes up until now, it does appear the former finance minister has had his way and that the OSP should proceed, nonetheless, whether or not Ken Oforiatta is present, and build a case against him and take it to court, rather than this merry-go-round as to an appearance or not?
Yeah, this is a criminal matter. He's being wanted in connection with the investigation into some alleged crimes being committed by him or in complicity by him. And so it is not a civil matter where he can ensconce himself abroad and make himself unavailable to the Special Prosecutor and still think that the Special Prosecutor can continue with the investigations. The investigations that are being carried out of the Special Prosecutor will require the presence of Ken Oforiatta to answer those questions. And so I do not see how the Special Prosecutor can proceed without the accused person appearing before him.
And where does that leave us if he continues to, on the basis of his health, does not appear? What really is the course of action that can be taken if he's
so
not well?
That will go into matters of mutual legal assistance that we have with other countries where Ken Oforiatta is presently residing. To invoke the jurisdiction of those countries and the assistance of the criminal investigative authorities in those countries to arrest and repatriate him to Ghana.
Counsel, I want you to stay with me as well this afternoon, because we know that the NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman's case has been developing all through last week up until this week as well. His lawyer, Andy Apiakubi, Friday night spoke with the media. You've practiced for years when it comes to issues of bail and surety and all of that. Are you surprised with the fact that Iyoko has not allowed him his freedom despite his counsel meeting bail? This excuse of a case file seeking to have the High Court vary the bail terms being used as a basis to continue to keep him?
So in actual fact, the continuous incarceration of Bernard Bosjaku is not out of the ordinary. I mean, if a person has been arrested and is being investigated for the commission of an offense and administered to bail by the investigative authorities, he secures his freedom if he's able to meet the bail bond. If he's unable to meet the bail bond, I mean, he continues to be in detention. The 48-day rule of the Constitution would have been met if the investigative authorities post a bail on him, and then he is unable to meet the bail. So, yes, like Andy Apiakubi herself, I followed his interventions in this matter, and I think it's perfectly right that they were looking for the sureties to post the sureties for the bail, to stand surety for Wontumi, and and until last week Friday, they were almost about getting the sureties to stand for Wontumi until another matter emerged from the court where another lawyer, whether instructed by Wontumi or not, we are not yet clear on that, went to court and sought the permission of the court, the jurisdiction of the court, to vary the bail terms that was imposed on Wontumi by the Office of the Economic and Organized Crime Office.
Counsel,
so,
Counsel, that's where the argument comes in, that if he met the bail conditions Friday night, then really he shouldn't have been kept in custody still, despite this application, which we're learning now has been withdrawn, was filed seeking to have the bail terms varied. 50 million was what Iyoko had set. They met it. If someone went to court seeking to have it varied, he should have been let go. They say his rights have been infringed upon by Iyoko.
Well, your line is not that clear, but are you saying that the imposition of the 15 million and two sureties to justify?
Not the imposition, but the argument being made is that Mr. Wuntumi's rights have been infringed upon because, as at Friday night, his lawyer said they had found the sureties, but they could not proceed because of that legal action that had been taken seeking to vary the bail terms. There are those who make the argument that once they had met the 50 million bail conditions, Iyoko should have let him go pending whatever determination will be arrived at by the High Court.
That is not what I heard and the appeal lawyer for Wontumi say. Now, when a bail bond is posted on a person, and that person provides meets the conditions of the bail, investigative authorities, especially where the bail conditions require that the bail be supported or the sureties be supported by property, will have to go and ascertain the existence of that property, and will have to go to the Lands Commission to ensure that that property has been properly registered with the Lands Commission. That will require time. Until that is done, they cannot let that person go on the basis of the surety and justification provided. And so, yes, I think that it's consistent with practice that when the lawyer said, yes, the investigative authorities were now looking into the possibility of admitting him to bail and verifying the bond posted until the matters came in. He was perfectly right. He was perfectly right. I sympathize with him for the reversal of the progress that he had made to secure the release of his client.
Counsel, yes, as always.
Nobody violated the rights of Wontumi.
Right.
Nobody. Because, he was granted bail. He simply was not able to meet the bail bond until later in the day on Friday. Whoever went to court to vary the bail terms, we don't know who instructed that person. That person might be a busybody or not, but we don't know who instructed that person. And because of the pendency of the application to vary the bail bond, which can affect the bail posted on Wontumi, it will be reasonable to await the execution of the bail bond until the court pronounces otherwise.
Counsel, as always, appreciate you speaking to us. I'm sure we can pick up the arguments and the conversations on the matters of law a lot later, but I appreciate you speaking to us. That's private legal practitioner Yunusa Fusheni. He's also a former minister for lands and natural resources. We're staying on the subject of Wontumi because private legal practitioner Martin Kebu says Iyoko has not managed the process of the arrest of Chairman Wontumi well. He told TV3's Key Points that Iyoko should have brought the public the charges and facts of the matter against Chairman Wontumi on time.
You see, one thing that Iyoko too must learn from, you see, all these charges of unreasonableness, etc., it's also showing that Iyoko hasn't managed the process well. Let's be very, fair.
How so?
Yes, they should have come out with the facts by now. And Mr. Archer is a journalist, okay? Maybe from here we'll be prompting him.
Raymond Archer.
Yes, yes. He's a journalist, you know information flow. If you are taking somebody like Wontumi, he has a lot of following. So put out those allegations, yes. Look, there's no rule that says
but there are those who have argued that Iyoko does not owe us a public statement.
No, that is absolutely
on what they are doing.
That's anybody who says so is absolutely wrong. Governance runs on information. You can't say that it's not anybody's private property. Then you don't even know what you're about. So
well,
even
I mean,
you should
but
know.
as an intelligence...
No, intelligence agencies give information. It depends. You manage it. You see, what was brought out later by Dr. Sremsai, yes, but it was late. You see, and especially as researcher is a journalist, so you should have known that our society thrives on information free flow. So bring out, I mean, if you had to say that he's involved in tax fraud involving 1 billion Ghana cedis, that doesn't change anything. Well, the fact that that has been put out there change the investigations. It's your sources and how you are gathering the evidence that you don't put out. But if the allegation is that somebody's brought you a petition that is involved in tax fraud, 1 billion Ghana cedis, I hear on the grapevine to things like he has bought a lot of stolen vehicles.
That's Martin Pibu, who is a private legal practitioner. Let's move away from that. I mentioned special prosecutor because he's our next subject matter. He says that, or is calling for a radical reimagination of the fight against corruption. At the West Africa Regional Anti-Corruption Dialogue, Kisia Jabin urged stakeholders to move away from abstract frameworks and instead anchor anti-corruption efforts in practical, functionally specific strategies. He's also advocating for the creation of a dedicated chapter on anti-corruption to strengthen the regional response.
Mr. Chairman, corruption is divisive. Corruption is stifling. We cannot enhance access to education and healthcare for women based on the way we are fighting corruption. The theories are not bearing out what we are encountering.
Let's connect right now with my colleague Noble Crosby Annan, who's at this event for us. Crosby, quite some words from the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Are we gleaning his position is coming from a number of the cases in court here in Ghana, some of which have not been so successful?
Exactly, Marina. So, in fact, he was not expected to speak today, but like you put it, he was ambushed to make a few comments, and like you put it rightly, it is as a result of the cases that he's handling and he's speaking from that. This gathering by the West Africa Regional Anti-Corruption Policy has brought together the Director General of the Ghana Education Service as well as the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. Now, these individuals, they were on the receiving end of some words from the OSP, not directly at their person though, but talking about their institutions, just to buttress this point that the way we're fighting corruption now, we should fight it differently because the theories are not working again. In fact, for the GS, for instance, he told the Director General that there are people who are carrying the signatures of this Director General, and I'm talking about Professor Ernest Kofi Davis, around and giving people appointments without the knowledge of the Director General. And then for the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, I'm talking about Professor Samuel Kaba Akoria, he told him that there are doctors who are performing surgeries not because patients need surgery, but because they need the money. And this is something that the OSP, these are things the OSP is investigating. And this, according to OSP as well as other corruption-related cases, they are not following, the modus operandi of the usual, what the OSP is used to, what corruption fight has been over the years. Now it is changing. That's the reason why he's telling us that there now theories available when you go to the ground and you want to fight corruption properly, it is not working. So in fact, he's also asking that for the Constitutional Review Committee that has begun its work for a while now, he has called on them and he's urging on them to introduce a whole chapter on anti-corruption so that it would capture Ghana's peculiar circumstances, and not really the white man's definition of corruption, which may not necessarily be the same or be exhibited or expressed in how corruption in Ghana is often exhibited.
And Crosby, just briefly, were you able to get any words out of him on the big subject matter dominating conversations today, Ken Ofori-Atta, and what the plan is from his office going forward? Were you able to?
Well, we went to him and then we rushed to him that he should make a comment on this development, what we know so far, what is going to happen in the coming days, in a few hours, because Just like, today we're expecting former finance minister in the country and to report to the office of the OSP. But he told us that there'll be a press conference at 5. In fact, he puts it as, come, let's meet at 5 and let's chat. So the OSP, let's announce as well that the OSP will engage the media in a friendly chat, like he put it, at 5 p.m. And also, like he suggested, it will be about the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to update the viewers and listeners on whatever he says concerning the former finance minister and the development concerning his health and a notice to see about his perhaps unavailability in the office today, like was agreed with.
Crosby, as always, thank you very much. That's my colleague Noble Crosby Annan speaking to us. And so you know that you can mark that on your, today is the 2nd, but a lot later at 5 p.m. we will be there, the offices of the special prosecutor, to bring you details of that chat he's expected to have with journalists on the availability of the former finance minister to answer 5 corruption-related allegations, of which he is a prime suspect. That's going to take us on to our very first break here on News Central. When we return, jurors are back on strike over allowances. We have the details. If you stay with us, please do stay. you're welcome back here on News Central. We're starting off the second chapter of the bulletin on health because Ghana has confirmed 26 new cases of Mpox, bringing the total number of cases to 45. 2 persons are on admission and being monitored with no deaths recorded just as yet. According to TV3 sources, more than 8 regions have so far recorded cases as surveillance heightens across the country. The general public is entreated to report to the nearest health facility if they notice any symptoms while contact tracing continues. Let's tell you what you should be knowing about the Mpox, which is a viral disease. It spreads from animals to humans and from humans to humans that we are very much aware of. The symptoms include rash, fever, headache, muscle aches, back pain, and the primary mode of transmission, close contact with infected individuals, animals, or contaminated materials. 2 types of Mpox virus we know, clade 1 and clade 2. There's been over 100,000 cases reported globally and 122 countries affected, 115 new to Mpox outbreak. We will be getting details from the Ghana Health Service subsequently for you, but that's the latest. 25 plus new cases confirmed and 2 persons on admission. Now, the police in Takoradi are investigating a suspected human trafficking operation following the escape of a victim, Abubakar Makayoko. Preliminary interrogation suggests that Makayoko and several others were trafficked from Bobo, Ivory Coast. Police say they are working with 2 translators to obtain more details from the victim. In a twist to the investigation, a man who reported to the Takoradi Central Police Station claiming to be the brother of one of the victims was detained. Correspondent Abraham Mensah followed up and is joining us right now with a bit more details. Abraham, what is the current condition of the rescued victim, Abubakar Makayoko?
He's doing quite well. He's been provided quite some good meals given the situation the past 5 days. He tells us that he's been in Ghana for the past 5 days. He's been held hostage at their place where we found them in Efiekoma. So far, he's been cooperating with the police, apparently through some 2 volunteers from the community, mainly Efiekoma Zongo, who had opted to act as translators to help uncover or unravel, the whole case around this suspected human trafficking case.
And have the police identified or confirmed the identity of this detained suspect who claimed to be the brother of Makayoko?
No, except for Abubakar, who I got his name through Abdul Ganiu, the initial contact Abubakar made here in Ghana. He helped with a few translations, getting to understand what his name is and where most of them are coming from. The police are saying and actually pleading that we give them ample time for them to conclude all these investigations, get to understand amongst them, victim, and who also are the ringleaders who led this kind of illegal operations here in Ghana.
And what more do we know about the numbers involved in this suspected trafficking incident?
So far, earlier yesterday, there were 25. Later in the evening, we understand of them were picked, suspected to be among the ringleaders, 4 males and female. Surprisingly, this morning, I identified the female as a victim. I happened to have a conversation with that female. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a name because she was being rushed for further interrogation by the police. But I got to interact with her through Google Translate. And what she told me was that she was asked to pay 200,000 francs for the accommodation for hotel and then feeding. But upon arrival, she realized that it was quite a suspicious engagement. She felt threatened by the entire environment and asked to be released. only to be threatened with some assaults and that threatening statement. And she had to call back in Monday, hoping that she would be rescued in due time. So it was Abubakar's bravery that have given them hope. The police is actually helping. The assembly member, Hamza, is also doing well. He's been struggling to raise some decent meals for these victims so far. So that is what we can say for now. We've been given an assurance that they will conclude this whole interrogations today. Later, by 4 p.m., we should get answers as to who these persons are and where they're coming from. But so far, the earliest, the understanding we've gotten is that most of them are from Bogo in Ivory Coast.
Abraham, thank you very much for those details. That's my colleague Abraham Mensah in the Western region for us. And on the Western region note, it will officially take us into Regional Hub. Start Regional Hub from up north because relief items meant for victims of the dry spell in East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region we understand, are being distributed to NDC branch and ward executives. My colleague Christopher Mwaku, who's been following this trail, ended up in the office of the MC. What details has he been able to gather? Let's go to him right now and get those exclusive details. Christopher, you had, amongst many other things, raised the concern and suggested, amongst many other things, that these items were being moved. You've got some more clarity. First off, perhaps, start off with what it is that you saw which raised the alarm bells and you ended up at the office of the MCE.
Yes, so Mawena, you know that somewhere last year, farmers were affected by the dry spell, and late last year, the relief items that were meant for these farmers arrived in the various districts and municipalities across the country. And so today, I received a call that the items were being distributed, and one of the beneficiaries who came to me told me that he's a branch executive. He has never even gone into farming, but he was called that all branch executives and ward executives should come to the East Gonja Municipal Warehouse and take the items. That is what they are giving to them. And so he went there and took 2 bags of maize. And so when I got the information, I actually also went there to confirm. But when I got there, the people there, in fact, they nearly attacked me. I had to run for my life. So I went to the MCE's office, who told me that the list that was compiled earlier when the incident happened, they cannot trace the list. And so they have made announcements that people should go to the municipal warehouse, and you go there with your Ghana card and you are given 2 bags of the maize. He said that he has directed that it should be given to farmers. But if it is not given to farmers, he is not aware of that distribution. But what he said was that he directed that it should be given to farmers. The Agric Directorate have not made any comment on this matter. They said that the directive was that they should give to people. They didn't even specify the people that they were asked to give to. Now, Mawena, the most interesting aspect of this is that, according to them, they cannot trace the soft copy and hard copies of the beneficiaries whose details were actually taken. When I got to the warehouse, one of them actually told me that they are in power and they have the right to give to whoever that they want to give to. And so it's not for anybody, it is for NDC. I don't know how they want power. And so they have the right to distribute it whichever way they feel like distributing it.
And Chris, did the MC tell you if he was going to take any course of action now that you had brought this to his attention, that this was being distributed to party persons?
Yes, he told me that he will go and verify from the Agric people who are doing the distribution at the warehouse. But what he said is that whoever that takes is a farmer. I personally, as Chris, cannot distinguish who is a farmer and who is not a farmer. It's the Agric people who can distinguish. And so for him, it is farmers from East Gonja who are receiving the items, whether NDC or NDC, it is farmers.
Chris, thank you very much, but do well to keep safe. That's my colleague Christopher Marco in the Savannah region, following up on the distribution of items for farmers during the dry spell, and interesting explanations coming from the municipal chief executive for that area. But away from that, a completed but abandoned chips compound in Esutia in the Tichiman South municipality has forced residents to travel over 4 miles to access basic healthcare services. Constructed during President Mohammed's first term, the facility has been left to rot, never having served its intended purpose. Balenda Tete reports.
Commissioned in 2016, the Esutia Chips compound was designed to bring healthcare closer to residents of Esutia and the surrounding communities, already grappling with limited access to essential social amenities. 8 years on, the building stands desolate, unused, deteriorating and forgotten, further deepening the healthcare challenges faced by the community.
It was built by NDC government. And since NPP took over, there is nothing they have done about it.
So they are not using it?
No.
Frederick Donko shares a heartbreaking account of losing his sister and 2 sons, tragedies he attributes to the lack of timely medical care. He believes their lives could have been saved if the CHIPS compound had been functional.
It affects us a lot because due to that, I personally have lost one of my sisters. And 2 boys also in addition. Let me say she fell sick, and the other guy too, and one was snake bite. So let me say they are 3 in number. Yes. So he's supposing we have, let me say, doctors here, or those who will take care of us here. I don't think something like that could have happened, because we should have gotten the first aid, you see. But because there is nothing like that, we lost all of them.
The assembly member for the area, Samuel Ejay, expressed deep frustration over the lack of political will to operationalize the facility. He recounts how the repeated efforts to get the attention of authorities had been in vain. He stresses that the absence of functioning healthcare facility is not just a health issue, but one that affects the livelihoods and well-being of the entire community.
Honorable Bruce started the initiative, and it was built in 2016. He couldn't finish it. So when I came, where he left off, I started from there. So the MP assured us that he will open it for us. But from there, it has been quite, after the elections, they haven't continued it yet. It's a rural area, and because it's a rural area, assessment from the village to town or so is a little bit far. But during the night time, when you call a motorbike to come and take somebody from the village, the person can come. There are a lot of problems during the nights where somebody have to deliver, and because of the road that I've already said, the road is not that good. So imagine when somebody, maybe during labor around 10, 11 thereabout, how can a person get here?
He's calling on government and relevant stakeholders to, as a matter of urgency, operationalize the CHIPS compound and ensure it serves the purpose for which it was built.
So I want to make an appeal to the government and all the stakeholders to come to our aid. Because looking at pregnant woman will be going to labor, and during this rainy season, the road is not that good. There's no motorbike to take that person from the village to town. So it's a lot of problem that we are facing. So I'm appealing to all the stakeholders and the government to come to our aid to help us.
Healthcare is not a privilege, it is a right. The continued abandonment of the Esutia Chips compound puts life in danger every day. Authorities must rise above bureaucracy and political cycles to prioritize the health and well-being of citizens. Belinda Tete, TV3 News, Esutia, Bono East Region.
Let's return to one of our top stories this afternoon, where jurors in the country have laid down their tools to protest the non-payment of allowances. The jurors note that after their strike last year, a portion of the arrears were cleared. However, arrears from October to date remain unpaid by the government. Complainants seeking justice for their families in murder cases are expected to bear the brunt of the situation as all cases recurring jurors will be suspended. Cases that will be affected include the Abesim murder trial, the J.B. Dankwa retrial, and then the Gregory Afoko retrial, among others. Justice Opoku is a juror, and he's joined us via the telephone lines this afternoon for a quick question. You've detailed for us how much you're owed, not specifically how much you're owed, but since when you've been owed. Have you taken into consideration as well the crucial role you're playing in justice delivery while deciding on this course of action?
Good afternoon. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me as well, please?
Let me reposition myself.
Right, I'm asking if you've taken into consideration the important role you're playing in the justice delivery system, particularly on cases relating to murder. Did you take all of that into consideration before deciding on this course of action?
In fact, the truth of the matter is that we have exhausted all the avenues. First, we went to the Judicial Secretary. We talked to them. They didn't materialize. We proceeded to the Director for Finance. We went to her. It didn't work. Then later, we went to the office of the acting CJ. And since the money is not coming forth, we have no other option than to strike.
How much is owed you since October up until date?
Yes, last year October. So October to this, that is 8 months.
And how much is that? How much is that?
The amount of money I cannot tell because it depends on the number of sittings that you do in a particular month. That determines the allowance. And the truth of the matter is that none of our members is getting more than 2,500 a month. So
is it the case that once you're serving as jurors, you're no longer engaged in any meaningful employment? Hence, this has become a sustainable means of living, reason why the non-payment is greatly affecting you.
Please come again.
I'm asking if it is the case that as you continue to serve as jurors, you're not making any other, you're not engaged in any other sustainable means of employment, reason for which you're piling this pressure for your allowances.
No, that is not the issue at all. Almost all of us are government workers from different government institutions. Do you understand? So this is an extra job that we do for the government. And even if we decide to talk about the risk involved, because of this job, I had to relocate. And as I'm talking to you, I have relocated. Because there was this high-profile case that we did. And people were chasing us here and there. And at the end of the day, I had to relocate. Meanwhile, we are not taking any risk allowance. Do you understand? So this is an extra work that we do for the government. And the money is just a peanut thing. They cannot tell us that they cannot pay this amount of money. At the end of the month, nobody is taking more than 2,500.
Right. So what will it have you to return to the courts? You're demanding that these monies are paid before a further engagement, possibly from the Attorney General, could have you return, and then a way will be found to make these payments.
I'm sorry, this one I cannot tell because we started the strike today. We haven't heard from anybody. So until we hear from them, I cannot tell when we are going back to the office.
Right then, thank you very much for speaking to us. That's one juror speaking to us this afternoon as well. on why they are on strike. He makes the argument they do not take more than 2,500 cedis a month. There's risk involved. Hence, he described this as peanuts ought to be paid them. Money is owed since October of last year. It will take us on to our very second break here on News Central. We'll return and take the show home. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. Now, national security operatives in the Ashanti region have impounded 3 articulated trucks fully loaded with thousands of gallons of cooking oil for tax evasion and diversion from the main destination. The incident happened today following a tip-off. A Nigerian truck number T8082LA Lagos, a Ghanaian truck number AS 388509 and a Burkina Faso truck number BN 8878 were the trucks impounded. The agent had initially said the goods were being transported to Ivory Coast, but the trucks were headed to Kumasi. Haja Rashida Mahama is head of special monitoring and intelligence team at the National Security.
So when the call came, suspecting these particular trucks, I had to put boys to monitor it from Tema to motorway, and then it was back to custom bonded house, and now in Kumasi. and I want to make sure I do a good job for Mother Ghana, and also I want to send a signal to the businessmen and women. I've not been given the position to bully people, but if you fall as a victim, I will carry you away. Please, let's come together and work for Mother Ghana. Thank you very much. Per the document they have, it was 4,320 for the 3 trucks. But when we got here, to do with the re-examination with the custom officers, we had 6,688, an excess of 2,368. That is the difference of the excess. It's 1,326,000. 1,326,80. It's a lot, especially the transits that normally claims they go to Burkina Faso. They end up offloading the goods in Greater Accra or Asante region, and most of them comes to Asante region. So this time I'm going to be on them. The transit trucks, they should get ready for me. Anytime I see a truck packed more than 2 days, I'll go after that truck. Thank you very much.
And that's how we'll bring an end to this afternoon's edition of The Bulletin, which came to you from our studios here on the John Hammond Street. As always, a lot more news when you log on to 3news.com. Up next is the afternoon show. I am Mawena Igbeta. Many thanks for watching.